Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Grue. And for Grue today, I'm going to be talking to someone who's on a hit television series that unfortunately ended after 11 seasons. And it's one of my favorite shows ever of all time. I love this show, Shameless. And he plays Kermit on Shameless, and his name is Jim Hoffmaster. And I'm really looking forward to talking to him, really looking forward to finding out some stuff about the show, about the set, and about the actors that he worked with, especially William Macy. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Shameless has been one of my favorite shows ever, and really excited about this. And I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters, and this is Grue and Jim Hoffmaster. All right. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for taking time out of your night to do this.
Well, thank you. Nice to be with you.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Uh, Um, I wanted to ask you, like, how is the scene like how's it like working and living in Los Angeles?
Well, I'm not doing a lot of working in Los Angeles right now, so I could hardly tell you. My day job went away last year, and my acting job went away a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that.
Yeah,
Going on.
Shameless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just cooling my heels in my luxurious studio apartment in Koreatown in LA, and
Nice.
waiting for the big series that is no doubt coming any day now.
Of course. There you go. That's good. And I was looking at your page, and you've been in a lot of television series doing the guest spots.
Mhm.
And one series I saw you were in is like I one of my favorite horror series, True Blood. I wanted to know how it was like being on set for that.
Well, I was barely. Well, that's not true. I was about to say, well, I was barely on set. Um, I was. They didn't. What's the word I want? I didn't get featured extra credit, but I really was just a featured extra. But basically, it was actually quite nice. Everybody was very pleasant, and I remember, I think possibly because of some of it was happening kind of late at night. Uh, we were all kind of a little loopy and silly, when we were not doing our thing. But yeah, I enjoyed being a part of it, because it's always fun being even just a small part of a show that has a really devoted fan base. But
Mhm.
I, true confessions, I've never seen the episodes. I think
Okay.
I had maybe two lines over the course of a couple of episodes, and one was like hitting. I remember I hit the side of the truck that the True Blood was going out on, and it's like, yeah, pull it out or something. Pull it out, and that didn't sound right, but something along those lines. But it was fun. Yeah, I remember it. I remember it being an enjoyable experience. Yeah.
Nice, nice. But like I said, I saw like you have a lot of guest spots on a lot of TV series. And how how did how did you get booked for like all those television shows?
How did that happen? Um, well, because of, I guess, my immense, crazy level of talent or something. I don't know. No, I'll tell you. In all seriousness, though, um, just before coming on and realizing I was going to be doing this, I thought a little bit about the early days, and I didn't come to LA until I was almost 40. I was a couple months shy of my 40th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And I thought I knew kind of, what I would be, how I would do it in terms of, make a kind of career happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'd read the books. So you want to be a big time famous Hollywood actor. And I got here and I didn't know nothing, but eventually I wasn't in the union or anything.
Yeah.
So my initial jobs were just little nothing jobs that I'd gotten from Backstage West. And even that took a little while. It probably wasn't, I don't know, 3 or 4 years till I got an agent.
Oh, wow.
And my first agent was a commercial agent. Then eventually I didn't get a theatrical agent. Next, I got a manager, and that manager got me my first theatrical agent. And I had a few theatrical meaning, TV and movies.
Yeah.
I had a few theatrical auditions before then, but those didn't really kick in until I got a theatrical agent who started submitting me for things. And I don't really remember how soon after that I booked my first thing, but eventually I booked an episode of House.
Oh, nice.
A very small role as a surgeon that got cut out.
Oh, no.
And that's when I learned something very important very early on, which is if you're going to get, if you got a guest star thing, you got to have it with the lead guy. It's got to be in a scene with a lead guy, because otherwise it's probably going to go away. Mine didn't have, I wasn't with Hugh Laurie. I wasn't even with any of the regular cast. They literally were watching me from up in the observation thing. And so that went away. So that was kind of an ignominious beginning to my fabled career. But after that, I just, my agent would submit me for things, and I'd go in and happily, every so often something clicked. My first things, I think House was my first thing, and then I think Gilmore Girls,
nice.
then Nip Tuck. Those last two might have been the other way around, but just small little things, and then I worked my way up to a step or two above the bottom where I am today.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Here you go.
Yeah, you mean?
Yeah, because my younger cousin was. I was laughing because I saw you were on the show. My younger cousin was obsessed with Austin and Ally and Ross Lynch.
Huh. I was so excited. I was so excited to book that, particularly because for 1 year, for one season, during the course of 1 year, I was on a Disney kids show.
Exactly.
I was on Shameless. I thought that was the coolest thing. You know what I mean? Exactly. I was on the least friendly kid show, that you could imagine, and a Disney kid show. And I was just tickled by that. And I was Pirate Frank, whose big thing was anytime he had a piece of dialogue with an R sound, he did the R,
Nice.
Hey, that touches my heart, R, kind of thing. That was the big character thing. But you got to have something,
Yeah, exactly.
But I did 3 episodes, and
nice.
And I'll tell you what, I was impressed with. I would sound like an ancient. I was impressed with those kids. I'll tell you, they worked, they worked their butts off, and we're pretty great at, there's a very particular kind of performing, because it's Disney, it's for kids, so it's
exactly
big and broad, and kind of sitcom kind of stuff. and they were, they were great. I would have been up for doing some more, but it was 3 episodes, and then I was out of there.
They were probably like, this guy's on this show called Shameless. I don't know if
Oh,
his name.
now that's an interesting. That's a fascinating theory. They get wind of, I don't know if we need to have this guy on it. That's very interesting. I don't think I'll ever know, but now I'll always wonder. Thank you.
Exactly.
Pretty funny. I don't know why I never thought of that, but I never thought of that.
Yeah, because I like the one kid from that show, Austin and Alley, Ross Lynch. Like he became like a really big star now.
Oh yeah, yeah. And probably because I have another friend who is on a current kid show, and it's all most of her fan contacts and such are do you hang out with them, and can you get a picture of them and an autograph and whatever? And sure enough, I remember, hey, say hi to Ross to me for me. Say I'm his biggest fan. Can you a lot of, and on Shameless too for that matter, a lot of requests for other cast members like autograph pictures and things.
Yeah.
It's like what, and I mean, I don't want to be mean. It's nice that they're interested in the show, but part of me wants to go, what do you think that would work? How do you think that would work? Me going up and going, I know, I don't want to bother you, but I know we're actually on the show together, but can you give me a bunch of autographs to give to random, people who like you? I never figured out a way to make that work.
Well, I know one of your cast members from that show has a really big like young following, Cameron Monaghan. Like Monaghan. Oh, is that how you say his last name?
I think so. I mean, I've never. I only know him a little better than you do. Let's put it that way. I did not work with him very much. That's another, like, on the list of things people think your life is like, isn't, in the position I'm in. They think I know everybody on the show. No, the only people I know, the only people I really knew on Shameless were the people I work with at the Alibi, in the scenes, primarily in the scenes at the Alibi. If they didn't come through the Alibi, I didn't work with them probably.
Exactly.
Though happily in the latter, particularly in the latter. So it was always kind of cool. Me and my friend Mike, Tommy on the show.
Yeah.
We always talked about how it was fun that whenever a script was written to put a Gallagher character on the skids, somehow like Fiona had a season where she was drinking heavily and started showing. That's when we would work with them, because then they would pop it up, at the Alibi or whatever. So I actually have now, all kidding aside, I have worked with Cameron a number of times. He's a great guy. He's very, very polite and professional, and well, that's the whole. The set of Shameless was a very, very kind of chill set.
Yeah. It seemed that. Yeah.
That every it's to me anyway, from where I sat, everybody seemed to like each other. They came in knowing their stuff, and very, very rarely did well. In fact, I can't really think. I'm hard pressed to think of a time where somebody had a fit or walked off the set or did any of that kind of craziness. I think part of that is is William H. Macy, who there's kind of an attitude. I think there's kind of a top-down thing on sets where the person who is number one on the call sheet does a lot to determine what the what the attitude is going to be on set, or how what the vibe will be on set. And I think I think he's the one who really established, you know, we're just going to be calm and relaxed and prepared and do our stuff. And John Wells, you know, as well, the creator,
Oh,
showrunner,
of course.
who had a one provision that that he had was that there were not sides on set. Of course, we had them anyway, but the rule was you didn't have your lines on the set. In fact, I had one of my only shameless nightmares ever was I dreamed that I was ready. We were ready to start shooting, and I had no idea what the scene was. I had no idea what my lines were, and I was desperately looking around backstage for a script, and of course there are no scripts.
No.
Because, you know, but in real life on the show, very calm, very chill. A lot of most times a lot of fun, particularly the stuff that I was involved in, the alibi scenes, because the couple of us, Shanola Hampton, Steve Howie, Mike McGill, my buddy, myself, Bill Macy. At some point, we had done those scenes so many times that we could kind of just knock them out. Same for the crew, for that matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't a terribly hard set to work with. Just one set, one big room.
Exactly.
And I think people like the crew people and such enjoyed a day where we were shooting alibi scenes, because they knew it was going to be, this is going to be fun. These guys know what they're doing, so they're not hanging us up. We know what we're doing, and you could just kind of knock it out and just, kind of have fun.
Wow, nice. And like your role on the show, Kermit, like that was only supposed to be guest spots, but then your character turned into like a main cast member. So,
well, kind of, but not officially.
okay.
I'm a little vague on this myself, because we're talking about things that happened like a decade or so ago.
Yeah.
But I had auditioned for the show. I had actually auditioned. John Levy is the casting director for the show. And I first auditioned for him in the very last season of ER. And I didn't get it, but it kind of put me on his radar. And so he started bringing me in for some of the other shows that they did. There was one, I was trying to think of the name of the show the other day. Not Heartland, Heartwood, something, I forget, but some kind of science fiction show that's kind of come and gone. But I auditioned for that. And then I started auditioning for Shameless. And I auditioned for a couple times. The Kermit was actually probably my third, maybe my fourth audition for the show. But eventually, the audition for Kermit came up, and I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that that the audition notice said that it was a possible recurring, and so they had written it with the potential that it might, it might recur. And I went in and got it, and over time, the first number of well, it wasn't until I think season 5 or maybe 6 before I was in like half the episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Or more. And then in the latter, part of the time, I was in the majority of episodes, in most seasons. And so it was kind of a slow build, but yeah, but I was not a series regular. I was always, my status, technically, was always guest. Well, no, actually, it wasn't even. Initially, I was a co-star. Uh, and then over time, I got bumped up to guest star status, and that's kind of where I stayed. Like each time I booked an episode, I would go in, and there would be a contract for the episode in my trailer to, to sign off. I never did quite make it to the exalted status of regular. That's going to be the next show,
There you go.
But so Shameless, kind of my starter show.
Yeah, exactly. And a show that lasted 11 seasons, so it's a really good starting show.
That's a good start. That is a start that most actors never get. Most actors never get a show that goes on for 11 in any capacity. So yeah, that's a really big deal, and a show that, like I kind of suggested before, a show that kind of teaches you how you're supposed to be on a set. Kind of just come in prepared and no drama, and just have some, an interesting mix of having some laughs doing it, but being serious about doing it, at the same time, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it was a great experience. I miss it and will miss it. I never got tired or got jaded when I would drive onto the set at Warner's. I'd be like, hey, here I am. I'm driving onto the Warner lot. That's pretty cool. Never got tired of Bill Macy, because I'd been a big fan. Of course I knew who he was, going. And that I told him one of the last times I talked to him, that it never stopped. Somebody's knocking on my door. Oh no, this is not right. Do we have any way to stop or pause this?
Yeah, I'll pause it right now.
Oh, are you on a phone call or something? I said, I'm on a Zoom. He said, oh, well, I'll talk to you later. I just wanted to say hi. And it's like, okay. I mean, nice, but we don't do that. Anyway, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. And you were talking about earlier about working with William Macy. I have to ask, like, was there any behind the scenes stories surrounding him that happened on set that was like funny?
That I can tell. Well, I don't know if this is particularly funny, but this is a story that impressed me.
Yeah, definitely.
A couple, I don't even know what season it was. They tend to merge together when you do all of your scenes in one location, and the scenes, and your thing has a certain similarity.
That's true.
It tends to kind of just mush together. But anyway, it was a couple seasons ago where the premise of the scene was he was going into Canada, and you know which thing I'm talking about, and like a ferrying illegal immigrants into the country, that kind of thing. And as long as he was doing that, he pulled a little double duty by taking money from the bar guy to get cheap drugs in Canada. But then he runs afoul of the Mounties or whatever, and he ends up with no money, no nothing. So in this scene, he comes into the bar, and he's like, hey guys, well, I got in a little bit of trouble with the Mounties, so I don't have your money, but bygones, and who wants to buy me a beer? And then we all are in the scene. We're all supposed to, get mad and chase him out of the bar. Okay, now let me do this. William H. Macy, I'm about to turn 60. William H. Macy is like a dozen years older, or so than I am. And he looks at the scene, and like I said, we're supposed to converge on him, and he turns around and runs back out the door. So he looks at the scene and he says, what if, instead of that, what if I what if I scramble over the bar and I run down the length of the bar and then I shoot under the pool table and I go out that door instead? What? My brother, I could never have done. I'm like, I'm a dozen years younger. I could never have done that. Things would have snapped off. They would have had to call 911. You know, but this man was in such good shape. He at that age, he was able to do. We did at least 5 takes of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he got it. And I remember that day. I'm not going to say it changed my life and made me start eating, health food and exercising and everything. But it made me think about it. It made me think really hard about it, because I thought, wouldn't I, as an actor, wouldn't I like to be able to look at something and make it better, knowing that I could execute, because he wouldn't have suggested that if he didn't know he could do it.
Right, exactly.
But he wasn't he wasn't like a super funny guy backstage or whatever. The thing that I enjoyed with him, my personal time with him that I remember enjoying is he plays the ukulele, and he's quite good. He's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
So oftentimes when he's backstage, I don't even know if I'm using the right terminology. I've only been on TV for 20 years now, but when we are not in the scene,
yeah, exactly.
he would oftentimes play the ukulele, and I'd kind of start dancing off to the side somewhere. Where he took notice one time. I was very flattered. He asked me, he said, were you like a professional dancer at one point? I said, no, I just like to dance. And he said, well, do you mind if I mention to the writers that you can dance? And I kind of said, well, I kind of sort of did dance at one point, because I did I don't know if you remember the scene in the strip club.
yeah, that's right.
Oh man. I tell you, that was a tough one for me. I'm a shy guy. I'm not like, it's like I think some of these actors, I'm very envious. Jack Black will throw his shirt off at a moment's notice just to get a laugh or whatever. I don't like, puberty hit for me early and hard. And so I was very self-conscious and very uncomfortable with my body. But I thought, well, what are you going to do? It's a show called Shameless.
Right, exactly.
The show isn't called Polite Behavior, I just thought, I'll be honest with you, I just thought, nobody cares about this. They're not going to write something ridiculous, terrible for this character to do, because they got to focus on the regulars, whatever. So when I opened that script and saw, and then they're stripping and then Kermit takes off his thong, and we find out he's got a really big, I'm like, oh man. But you know what? I'm glad I am glad ultimately I got over myself and did it. But that was very difficult. That was probably my most difficult day on set, because I just, had a very tough time. But afterwards you see the scene and you think, okay, the big reaction is, people see you come out and they're like, ah, and it's over, that kind of thing. It's not really that big a deal. And you gotta, as an actor, you gotta work with what you got.
Right, exactly.
As one of my favorite quotes from Alec Baldwin was, as actors, we're not in the dignity business. And I sure wasn't that day.
Sure.
Well, actually, the peak of my embarrassment that day was at one point, so I'm doing my thing, and the way the scene's supposed to go is we dance. We get to the end of the song, and nobody else does it, but I reach down, rip off my thong, where you see that I got the size of your forearm, you
Exactly.
know. Yeah, and the way they shot it was, for some reason, I guess they'd had their requisite amount of full frontal or something, because they didn't do it from the front. They shot from between my legs, and you watch it kind of fall into frame between my legs.
Yeah.
And so I remember we shot the first part, and then they kind of went around, and I just remember the camera guy going, "Yeah, Jim, can you spread your legs a little more? We can't see you know." And I'm like, kill me now, you know. But anything to get the shot, you know.
Right. Exactly.
But actually, I don't catch as much. I don't think I get as much static as Mike does from that scene, because he's got the kind of friends who are like, you know, "Oh, look at you," and they repost it like
Oh no.
every other week, and you know, so he's got to deal with that all the time. For me,
Oh,
it's kind of a rare thing. I don't have guys going, "Oh, look at you." Anyway.
Well, speaking of Mike and like most of your scenes on the show are with Tommy, Kev, and V, because of course Kev and V run the bar,
Yep.
the alibi, and Tommy and Kermit are best friends sitting at the bar, always talking to Kev and V. So how's it like working with all of them for those scenes?
It it really just got better and better. I don't want to sound too Pollyanna, but initially, you know, for a while, there's a bit of I don't know, a bit of a divide, probably one that was just in my head. But there was a little bit of a thing where, you know, well, they're the regulars, and
Hmm.
you know, we're the recurring people who are, or particularly early on, you know, we work for maybe a day on an episode, you know, that kind of thing. Um, and so there was a little bit of getting used to each other and so forth. But as time went on, kind of like I said before, um, we just became really comfortable with each other, and we knew each other's rhythms. And I think there's also a sense, I think, of you know, everybody else can do this, so don't you don't want to be the person that's like, you know, cut, no, yeah, re- resetting, you know. um, you don't want to be the one hanging things up. So I think there was a general um, and you know, when we kind of started getting to know each other,
Hmm.
and there was kind of an ongoing thing that Steve liked to do. I forget what episode it started in, but Steve noticed at some point that on a couple of occasions they'd had a scene between us end with him going like, "Damn it, Kermit!" You know, like, "What the hell, Kermit?" You know, some sort of, the scene would end with him going, "What, Kermit? Shut up!" You know, uh, and and he and that kind of became an onset thing. You know, apropos of nothing, he'd be somewhere and he'd be like, "Damn it, Kermit!" You know, and I'm like, "What? I'm over here." I didn't
Yeah,
do anything.
yeah.
No. But a lot of fun. He was funny as hell. I mean, on screen and off. And V was just V Shinola, um, just super high energy. You
Hmm.
know, always uh, always upbeat and energetic, and that helps. You know, if you're
Oh,
talking about,
definitely.
you know, like a long day on the set. Though oftentimes, um, particularly like in those early years where, you know, I'd have a scene and, you know, a couple of lines in one scene in the episode. You come in and maybe have you know, somewhere between a 4 to 6 hour day, you know, which is, you know, crazy. Uh, but on the contrary, and particularly as the show went on, they used the barflies kind of more.
Right?
Uh,
Yeah.
then it would be, it's so funny because Mike and I would both you know, laugh at how we'd be like, oh man, I wish we had more to do. I wish they'd give us more to do. Sure would be nice to have more to do. And then you get more to do. And so you have to actually log your first 12 or hour day. And it's like, oh, this is this is exhausting. No wonder those series regulars make so much. Ugh. You know, um,
Well, you know, the one good thing about your scenes working all those hours is you get to sit at a bar and drink beer.
yes, which leads to maybe the number one question I get asked about the show. Are you drinking real beer? No, no, we're not drinking. How would that work? You know, again, that's a thing where you don't want to, you don't want to give people too much static because,
Well, yeah.
they don't really know how it works or whatever. But you do want to kind of explain, I'm going to drink beer for 5 hours on a set. I No, no. We drank O'Doul's
Yeah,
non-alcoholic beer. And I don't want to rip on the O'Doul's people, but it's not something that you're going to be overjoyed about,
yeah, no.
drinking for, forever. Um, but there was one time, I will say there was one time, and to this day I feel like guilty about it. Like, the acting police are going to come get me. There was one time before a scene when Steve said, "Hey, I got a bottle of Jaeger back here," and it was the scene where we were supposed to do, some shots.
Yeah.
So, and it was like nothing. It wasn't enough. It wasn't like I got loaded or whatever. But I still remember, like, I'm drinking on the set. I feel so guilty. But no, I actually heard, because when I had some friends visit, we did a studio tour at for some reason not at Warner's, at Paramount for some reason, but we're there.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know why. I guess because I thought, let's go somewhere where I don't work for a living. So anyway, as we're doing this, I remember the tour guide talking about Cheers.
Yeah.
And he said that they did, just as I thought, oh, that's crazy. Why? Of course we didn't drink, that kind of thing. I go on this Paramount tour, and according to the tour guide, they did. Like when they had their beer drinking scenes, they were drinking beer.
Oh my God,
he had some anecdote about Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson, running naked from the set to a certain place, and all this kind of craziness. But they wouldn't let a Paramount tour guide lie, would they?
Yeah, exactly.
But so shows you what I know. Maybe on other sets where they drink, they actually are drinking, but we did not. And I not only would I not have wanted to be, actually drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I barely, and now it can be told because the show's over. As time went by, I barely wanted to drink at all because of the O'Doul's, because it's kind of nasty, but you can deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It really was more. It was more because, not to put too fine a point on it, but we were men of a certain age and the bladders, and another thing you don't want to have happen. You don't want to have to tell somebody, I really have to go potty. Okay, we're gonna take a break while Jim goes to take a pee, whatever. So anytime I had the opportunity, anytime I felt like I could get away with drinking, sipping a little or not at all, I would do it. It definitely, it's interesting. That's a comment on how pragmatic concerns can kind of affect character, because I would say, as an actor, I would say, well, Kermit's an alcoholic. He's slugging these beers down.
Right, exactly.
But Jim Hoffmaster is an actor on the set who doesn't want to pee his pants, you know, because the take goes on too long, you know.
Yeah.
So Mike, on the other hand, he seemed to like slug him down, and different strokes, you know.
Right,
I guess but
and I the scene I have to ask you about, like, I was in complete shock for the final season, and
I know where you're
when
going.
you read the script, I have to ask what your thoughts were when you read the script that Kermit and Tommy were going to have a hookup scene with Phil Collins playing in the background.
Oh, I'll tell you, me and Mike both were really happy that the Phil Collins song made the cut, because I think that did the heavy lifting for us, you know, comedically. We both were very happy. We didn't know if the show would get the rights to the song, or whatever. So anyway, we were happy about that. But I remember when again, it was kind of similar to the strip club, opening up and seeing that the strip club scene was just okay. Didn't expect that. Because there's been very little, I guess, if you really went over the scripts over the years with a fine-tooth comb, maybe you could make some argument or whatever. But I think there's very little evidence that either of them, you know, are gay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, so that was kind of the first thing. But then I saw, oh, and they get, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And it didn't, as I recall. I was sort of grateful that it's a pretty tasteful scene, all things considered. You know, we're there. I grab his ass and we exchange a little look, you know, and I think, hey, maybe this was a bad idea on my part. And then he goes in the stall and I follow him in the stall, and scene.
Yeah.
That sort of helped me, because I think I mean, again, I would have done it. It's a show called Shameless. But if I had opened the script instead and it said, you know, and then they rip their clothes off and they get in a hot and sweaty big man embrace, and you know, they knock the door off the stall or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. You know, as it was, I was a little startled that it was in the script, but I basically was like, huh, okay then.
Yes, exactly.
I guess that's what I'm doing now. I guess that's who Kermit is now. That's another interesting thing too. Is like you can have ideas about who your character is and what they're like and what they're about. Then you're going to open a script and go, and then they get high and have sex in the bathroom. Oh, okay. Turns out Kermit is this guy. You know, okay. I have to adjust my thinking a little bit. Probably one of the more. Now, this was kind of interesting because I had never worked with an intimacy coordinator before. And we actually, I remember Mike and I both joked when she was hired onto the show, we actually, after the read-through, and I forget when it was, maybe season 10, after the read-through, I distinctly remember the two of us going over to introduce ourselves, and we had a lot of fun with the idea that, hey, you know, well, good luck, and hopefully we're never going to need your services. So long, you know. And I think that's what screwed us in the end, you know, that like, we'll never be required to, you know, do a scene like that. Well, not only will you be required to do that, you're going to do it with the other guy. So anyway, the intimacy coordinator, I forget if she called or texted first, but I got a communication from her saying hey, I'm just checking in with you to make sure you're okay with the kiss tomorrow. And I'm like, huh? What? There's no kiss
Yeah.
in the thing. And again, would have done it if it'd been there, but it wasn't there. And so I was a little like, huh? And I talked to Mike, and he's like, I don't know, but I don't think my wife's going to be thrilled about that, that kind of thing. Uh, so we found out that she was referring to I don't know, a version of the script that didn't even make it to the table read.
Oh.
So they decided America wasn't ready for a big sloppy, Kermit and Tommy lip lock, but man, people still talk about it. They're like, what, how come they never, they never talked about it, or what, or the weirdest one again, I want to be nice about this, but they're like, oh, what happened what happened in this doll? And it's like, come on, somebody,
your imagination.
they had sex of some kind. I would say they're two large middle-aged men in a bathroom stall. So I don't think anything too tricky happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just your basic stuff.
Yeah.
And I personally have an idea that I'm going to keep in my own head at what probably happened, who did what to who.
Yeah.
But generally, I think I would say, sometimes I would say to people, well, that's where the scene ends. What do you think happened? I don't know any more than you do.
Right, exactly.
Because that's the end of the scene.
Exactly.
But people act as if sometimes some people online will act as if they had seen that hot, sweaty, naked scene I talked about. Oh my God, it's so disgusting. I couldn't believe, and it's like, believe what? You didn't see anything.
I know you didn't.
What are you, you're just horrified by the idea? Okay, well, that's not tremendously flattering to me, but well, I guess I can live with that. Just the idea of you and anybody,
What I found funny is the scenes that happen after that, where Herm and Tommy can't even look at each other for a while.
Yeah, I did enjoy the follow-up episode where we're sitting, we're as far apart in the bar as you can get. And we both, the only disappointment that and I think I can speak for Mike on this, the only disappointment that I think we had over it was that we would have liked there to have been, and the fans too were like, how come they never talked about it afterwards? It just was a couple, days, weeks, we don't know, some period of time of discomfort, and then they're just kind of hanging out again.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that extra thing I want would have been. I don't really care, really, whether it was, okay, we're gay now, but let's not make a big thing of it, or well, that was crazy, let's never do that again, or whatever, but just some, acknowledgement that the thing happened and we're gonna move on somehow. But instead it was, kind of don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, exactly.
Though I don't know if you noticed in the last episode, I was very pleased with this little kind of blink and you miss it in the last episode, where in the alibi scene where they're having the surprise party for the guys, and at one point they kiss and everybody's, all the various couples are, kissing and whatever.
Yeah.
And I give Tommy a little like, huh? Should we? And he's like, get out of here, and some people read that as Tommy, just totally rebuffing me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna choose, and the show's over, so I can make I'm gonna make up my own fan fiction here. Yeah. I think it was just not so much that, you know, oh, being averse to hooking up again or kissing or whatever, as the publicness of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that he's like, what? No, I'm not going to kiss you here, you beautiful idiot. You know, you sexy drunk man. And I don't. That's a decision I've made that nobody cares about. But you know, I've decided that that's what that was. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't him rejecting my sexual advances. It was him rejecting my advances right there. You know.
Well, yeah, because it was like a whole crowd of people, a whole room of people,
He was
and
not
and his
ready.
friends.
He was not ready to commit to the love in his heart.
Exactly.
That's how I'm reading it. That's my story. I'm doing.
And like, how was the set like on the very last day, like the final day, when you know all all you people, all you guys and girls know, like it's going to be the end, and this is it, like it's the final scene.
Well, it was interesting. One thing that uh, just in terms of logistics that I wish had gone a little different. William H. Macy wrapped the day before, and he
Okay.
did so. And I was so bummed because I don't know what, I didn't understand that he had another scene left to shoot. So when they wrapped me for the day, I just left. And so I missed it. I missed him doing his final scene. And they made a thing, and that's a wrap on William H. Macy, and everybody applauded. And I was, you know, winging my way home, you know, because I had something really exciting to do, like, you know, I don't know, feed the cat or something. So I was a little disappointed about that. But on the actual day, he did come on the day, of course, to hang out with us. And it was interesting. I think bittersweet is a good word, because people were excited to be doing the scene, and it was a big scene, and it was kind of different than we typically do. We had wrapped at the Alibi the day before, so we were done with the Alibi. You know, we were outside, and the car was going to burn, and there were drones and everything. So there was a lot of just excitement over the shooting the thing. But kind of underneath, you know, like, came on set, and there were, you know, rap presents from different, you know, groups on the show and that kind of thing. And yes, excitement, some underlying sadness, you know, some happiness that we were, look at this 11-year thing
11 years
that we were all a part of, that, you know, that a lot of people, you know, just really enjoyed. Yeah, it was really nice. I remember after we wrapped, and there was all the speechifying and everything. Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing that I'm going to try to leave out pertinent details,
okay.
on advice of counsel. But on the last day, we were, like I said, we were not at the Alibi. We were on the cityscape, you know, set, which was the other side of the lot. And for some reason, somebody asked me if I wanted to ride over early, you know, at some point. And I was over there, like, way ahead. I didn't need to be over there, but I was over there now. And then I got a text from Mike saying, let's he said, I want deniability here. But the text said, hey, Steve said, let's put it this way, if you want something from the Alibi, you should grab it now. We could stick it in the back. We could stick these things, whatever they might be, in the back of Steve's truck. And I was like, well, I'm over here, whatever. So anyway, that situation transpired, and I learned after the fact, I learned a very important lesson. If you're going to do what was done, let's say, you don't post it on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a tactical blunder, because certain parties communicated with me and said, maybe, and it wasn't really even like, bring that back, or whatever. It was really more like, dude, just don't make a public point that
Right?
of this. Be cool. I'm many things, but I'm not cool. I was like, point taken. I'm an idiot. Thank you. But the last day was pretty special. After everything wrapped, Mike and I headed to our dressing rooms and got changed, whatever. And then we hung out. We ended up hanging out for a little while with the guys on the show, Bill and Steve and Cameron and Ian and Jeremy, and for a while. And well, let's say, I'm not going to mention names. Some people got a little more liquored up than others.
Oh, I'm sure.
Steve Howie. Oh, wait, I wasn't going to mention names. Some people got their drink on, and I basically did a lot of listening, because I thought, this is really, I mean, yes, it's my experience too, but it mostly was their experience. They had 11 years together, and they were kind of reminiscing and decompressing and all this stuff. And it was fun to be a fly on the wall and listen to some of the shit they had to say about, this and that and the other thing. But it was a fun way. It was a fun way to end things.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like once the show was over, I as a fan of the show, I was like so sad. I was like, I can't believe it's over. 11. They should have went for 20.
Well, I love that you feel that way, and I would have been game, to do at least a few more. But it seemed like some of the fan base were kind of ready. Some people were like, there was the, it was terrible after Fiona left. Continued, and various people, but I would say, yeah, I mean, I can imagine. I felt, I guess, excuse me, I guess the nearest equivalent I can think of for myself, again, revealing my age, a show that lasted just as long, that I had a devoted, I was a devoted fan of, and definitely felt bereft after it ended, was MASH. I remember. Also ran 11 years. So that's a long time to be invested with this group.
Oh, it is, yeah.
With a group of characters and the, situations. But yeah, I've definitely gotten, feedback from a lot of the fans that they were not ready. Like you said, right. Do some more. Or talking about a spin-off. There have been spin-off ideas.
Yes, I've been reading a lot about that. Yeah.
You have a spin-off with Kevin V. Whether they're probably not at the Alibi. I think that Carl and I've forgotten his Josh Molina's character. I've forgotten his cop friend's name.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they end up with the Alibi. And probably Tommy and Kermit probably just walk in and go, new owners. Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's just sit and drink.
We'll have a beer. I mean, life goes on for those two, I think. But yeah, I've heard of people have had spin-off ideas of every. Probably the most interesting one to me, because of course, the one I'd be invested in would be like, a thing about the Alibi or whatever, or Kevin V, where somehow we end up going to Kentucky for some reason. I want to be involved somehow. But probably in all seriousness, the one that kind of is creatively most interesting to me, a lot of people talked about kind of a prequel to
Oh.
like the early days of like Frank and Monica.
Oh, I was reading about that. Like someone brought that up. Yeah.
Of the kind of different ideas that have been projected. That was the one to me that I thought, well, just creatively, there's something there. I don't know if there's much more you're going to get from,
Sure.
you know, from Kevin V or Galovich or whatever. That kind of thing. People always ask, are you a Galovich person? It's like, well, how can you not be? Come on.
Ian and Mickey.
Mickey, come on. Oh, that's one of that. That was something I enjoyed too. Noel. I think particularly was like in the last episode, but I think he'd done it a couple other times. He got a kick out of the thing I was talking about, where Kev kind of fell into the "shut up, Kermit," whatever that kind of like sort of unexplainable annoyance with Kermit, and Noel kind of grabbed onto that, and I got a kick out of that episode where he's like, I forget the line, but it's something like he's talking about they're going to move, to the west side, was it? And he wants to get a bazooka, so let's not get a walk up because I don't want to walk up with my bazooka. And I go, why do you need a bazooka? And he's like, because bazookas are cool. Kermit, shut up. And I thought, oh, bless his heart, he's annoyed with Kermit. Like everybody hates Kermit. I can go with that. That's fun. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Jerry on Parks and Rec, where people just had this reflexive annoyance with him for no real reason. Shut up. I hate you.
Yeah, that show's definitely gonna be missed. I mean, of course you could watch it anytime you want, like if you buy the DVDs or stream it. But like any new episodes, of course, are not happening. But like so the show's gonna be missed, and like I've heard the rumors about the Frank and Monica, Kevin V, Ian and Mickey. Like some people want to see, because like with Ian and Mickey, they left it open that Ian wanted to have kids with him. So that's why they were like, oh, let's make a spinoff about them with kids. But I think that would, like, because Ian and Mickey are like badasses, and bringing kids in it would like ruin their like vibe.
I think it'd be really hard to do
Mm-hmm.
for that reason.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that people like them so much, in particular like Mickey so much, is that he's such a rough character, and I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked out.
Yeah,
I would have checked it out. I would have been happy to wander through in an episode and have me go, what the hell, Kermit? Shut up. But in fact, I think any potential spin-off should have me at least walk through, and have a character be annoyed that I'm there. Kermit, what are you doing here? Go home.
I just hope that Cameron doesn't listen to it, because I screwed up his name in the beginning.
Oh, well, he's Cameron. No, he's been right over here. We hang out. No, he was fine. He just kind of held his head like this.
Yeah, exactly. And like my site deals a lot with horror movies, and I always ask my guests this: do you like horror films? And if you do, what are some horror films you like?
I'm kind of old school. I kind of fell. God, now what's the last thing I saw? The last horror I saw was Get Out.
Okay.
I think, which now is a couple of years ago now.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of fell off because back when a lot of horror became kind of a lot of torture porn stuff, like Saw and Hostel and stuff like that. I wasn't very interested in that. But a movie I haven't seen that I'm interested in is, I've heard Hereditary is really good. I plan
Yeah,
on
it
checking that out.
is. Yeah.
But in terms of horror movies, when I was a kid, my first horror movies, my first horror characters, I wasn't. I think this is like one of those things. Maybe you have to be of a certain age. Were you um, were you like a Universal monsters person,
Oh
or
yeah, like
were
Mummy,
you
Dracula.
a Godzilla person? And I leaned definitely on the side of the Universal monsters.
Oh, definitely.
I was into the monsters before I ever even saw the movies.
Oh,
Um, I remember I had a big poster on my wall of Bela Lugosi, Dracula, and it had glow in the dark eyes, so scared the crap out of me when I was a little kid. I don't know who thought that was a great idea, but I'm like, um, but but I think my horror movies tend a little toward toward more of the old school stuff. Though every so often I'll and I mean real old school. Though I will kind of stick my head out and uh, uh, like around the Blair Witch time.
okay.
I remember seeing that in the theater and kind of liking that. Um, but the real recent horror, there's not too much that off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of a more current, something more current than like Get Out that I've seen, and I'm not sure. Um, I'm probably, as soon as we're done, I'm gonna write out a dozen movies. Oh, I could have told him this and that. But, but I've been all my life. I've been interested. The interesting point is I've been interested in horror movies all my life. I've read way more about horror movies. I've
Okay.
read than I have seen horror movies. Um, and I could talk to you about uh, probably the era I'm pretty conversant with, between seeing a lot of them and having read about a lot of them. In Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Mhm.
Last House on the Left, one that I actually saw on a drive-in called Mother's Day that creeped me out
Oh my God, that's an awesome movie. I love that.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Uh, that that era, probably the last time I was relatively current with what was going on in horror. I still read a lot about horror movies, but for some reason I don't get out to see. I get out to see them very often, but the Get Out follow up, I'm them. I think
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
Us.
us. Somebody, them, us, we, somebody. I'm going to check out because that premise seems pretty effectively creepy to me.
Yeah, yeah. Both of those films are very, very creepy.
Yeah, yeah. Just something that's genuinely, I think for me, something that's genuinely unnerving, as opposed to, like I said, going back to just watching somebody be tortured or whatever. That's, well, I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing you're afraid is going to happen, and well, now it's just happening.
I know, I know. Yeah.
The harder part is like, oh no, I'm afraid something's gonna, the monster's gonna get me, or the killer's gonna
Mhm.
get me, or whatever. Um, I think I kind of lost. I lost interest. I think one where I faded in horror was where a lot of people would have kind of first come on board, was all the unstoppable guys.
Like Jason, Michael,
Jason,
Freddie.
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I was kind of like, in, different stroke, because a lot of people, really enjoy those movies. For me, I'm kind of like, well, they're unstoppable, and you kill them, and then there's the trick ending where they're not dead.
Yeah,
They're,
yeah, yeah.
it's like, well, why did I just watch this for 2 hours? I'm again a little more old school. You know, I want the good guys to pull out an actual win at the end,
Right,
and
right.
whoever our bad guy is, they're done. But of course, that's not very financially viable if you know, killed off each character after one movie or
I
whatever.
know.
They can do that with Universal. Come on, I got to cut them a little break. It's like how many, Dracula sequels. Oh,
Hmm.
actually, it's not a new movie, but the last horror movie I saw, just because it, I got home on a late Saturday morning and I turned on the TV and Scream Blackula Scream
Oh my God, I remember that. Yes.
was on,
Yes.
and I thought, well, I got it. I, I I feel a little guilty for spending an hour and a half of my life on this, but I like some of the really bad, Plan 9. Well, that's not really horror, but kind of. Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like some of the epically bad horror movies, they're fun. I get a kick out of that crossover between horror movie and just shitty movie, had a baby. And, I sort of like some of those. But, mm.
Nice. And like, what do you like doing for fun when you're not involved with acting?
Well, there's a time where I used to have a standard answer where I would say, well, I don't do anything. I come home, I turn off the lights, I power down until acting, there's another acting opportunity, and then I go. But I've developed a few hobbies since then. Uh, I play a couple instruments fairly
Oh,
badly,
nice.
but I play them. Um, uh, I um, I like to draw. Um, I I I dabbled. I started dabbling with TikTok. I know it's not supposed to be for me, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
There you go.
Um, yeah, and yeah, just a few little things. I keep a journal. I try to keep myself mentally stimulated during this time. And well, one thing that not really like a hobby per se, but something I've had to learn how to do that I was very resistant to doing, um, is learning how to do self tapes,
Okay.
do my own auditions.
Hmm.
Because man, uh, they would come up before the pandemic. They'd come up periodically as something that someplace would ask you to do if you want to submit yourself for this, whatever. And I would, what a baby I'd be about these. I don't want to do that. I don't know how to do that. How come I've got to be an actor and director and a cinematographer and the craft services and whatever? I don't want to do all that. And I'd either kind of try to rope somebody in who was better at it than
Nice.
I was, or go pay
Nice.
for it. And that's terrible. I don't want to have to go and pay $50 to audition, you know, for a thing that you're probably not going to get, because mostly you don't get these things. Um, Even if you're good, even if you book things, you're not going to book everything.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
um, so, when it became a thing where, well, that's what we got to do now. I have learned so that's been kind of a hobby / job requirement that has, that for a while took up some time. And I've gotten to the point where I feel like um, I can do it, but I still feel like I haven't booked anything off them yet.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I feel a little bit like, am I, is this just, my run of luck right now is just, it's just not quite happening. Is there something a little extra to do? Is there something I'm missing? I don't know. So currently that's in my thoughts a lot these days, is how to, you know, how self-taping is going and how I can do it better and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But but it's a big, but it's a big deal that like I said, I've gone from crybaby, I don't want to do that, to, okay, yeah, I can do this. I'm a lazy man. I don't really, I think I told somebody, I don't really want to do anything. I want to act like I'm doing it. That's the secret. That's the secret of me. I don't want to do anything, but I will, for money, I will act like I'm doing it.
There you go. And where can fans find you at? Like, what's your social and pages and all that?
Oh, let's see. Oh, my, I, we have talked all this time, and I haven't even mentioned. I am the subject of an upcoming documentary.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, Jane would kill me if I didn't mention. Uh, for the past couple of years, a friend of mine who has become a film director, particularly documentary director, she had the bright idea a couple of years ago. She approached me and said, "Hey, what if I did a documentary about you?" And I was like, "Okay, if you think anybody would give a shit," excuse my language. Okay. And so we have it in and around Shameless shooting and the pandemic and everything else. We have shot and are nearing the end of post-production on a full-length documentary called Acting Like Nothing Is Wrong, about my life and wacky times. And hopefully by the end of the year, it will start making its way into film festivals around the country and perhaps all over the world. And then from there, we hope, Netflix or Hulu or somebody's going to say, "Hey, that film about the weird guy there, the sad-looking, tired guy, used to be on that show. We want him." But anyway, that, like I said, that's called Acting Like Nothing Is Wrong. The director is Jane Rosemont, and that's going to be a thing. That's going to be a thing sooner rather than later. After years in the making, multiple locations, many
Oh,
states.
wow.
We really did. We traveled because I'm from West Virginia, so
Okay.
we went to West Virginia. We've been to Michigan, where I spent most of my life before coming out here.
Oh, wow.
We've shot scenes in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she's from. We've shot out here in LA, where I currently reside. So it's a fairly, for a small production, it's a fairly big production. And I'm a little bit like, every time she mentions like the money she's spending on this, I'm like, I don't, you do realize this documentary is about me, right? Like, I mean, it's your money to spend as you see fit, but I don't know if I would spend the amount of money you're spending on a documentary about me, and I'm me. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. But anyway, you didn't ask about all that, but I had to stick that in because, like I said, Jane would kill me. You talked to this guy for however long and you didn't mention a film? The film is now going to end with me killing you.
Yeah. See, now the film is going to turn into a horror movie.
Exactly. Oh, I like the way you. Oh, that's comedically, that's known as a callback. Yeah, very good. And that's how Jim's story became a true life horror film.
Yeah, there you go.
Jim would like to have been here, but I had to murder him because he didn't promote the film. But well, in terms of social media, I'm still on Facebook because I'm old. So I'm still on Facebook. Sue me. I don't know how technology works. I don't understand things. So I'm still on. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and what else? Did I say Instagram?
Yeah.
I'm probably my biggest fan bases Instagram and TikTok right now.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
nice.
oh, and it's amazing. I think about it sometimes. It's like it's an interesting world where I think, okay, across all my social media, all put together
Uh-huh.
currently, I've got maybe 25,000 people. And I
Okay.
realize in social media terms, that's like nothing. It's like really minimal. And I think that's 25. But I try to imagine them like in one arena or what. They're like, how, that would be crazy. I couldn't attract 25,000 people to see me do anything. So to me, it's an amazing number, but it's
It
weird
is.
to think that it's kind of nothing, in a world where, people who do nothing have,
Oh my God, I know. I
millions,
know.
millions of followers. Uh, I actually, that's something I'm trying to think of, because like I said, I'm not good at actually doing things, but one thing I feel like I've got to figure out, how to take advantage of, YouTube and TikTok and
Hmm.
something. But the trouble is, I don't really know what I do. I mean, I do the acting thing, sort of, but I don't really know how to make that a, you know. Oh, I do have a podcast. I just
Oh,
talk. I don't have like a partner or have guests or anything. I just say, hi, here I am, and you know, here's what I did, and blah blah blah. I talk about it. It's called Inside Hoffmaster's Head. Uh, pretty much, anywhere you want to get podcasts. I think you can get it Apple or Spotify or the original site that I think Spotify bought is called Anchor, Anchor.fm.
oh yeah, I heard of that. Okay.
Oh, it's really cool. And it's nice because it's super low tech. It's just an app on your phone.
Hmm.
So, I still don't know how to edit. So basically every time I make a mistake, I have to go back to the beginning because I don't know how editing works. Uh, so that can get very frustrating. It's,
I'm sure it can.
a podcast for me, and all, will likely have me at some point going, yeah, I want to talk about this. Did I talk about this already? Or was that the last time I tried to, and I don't know, I don't know. Anyway, I'm out there. Just Google Jim Hoffmaster. And if you want to follow my silliness, I'm out there somewhere. I have, I still have a blog. I have a
Oh,
blog
nice.
still. It's Diaryland, and I'm Jim515, diaryland.com. So yeah, I'm out there. If for some reason you want more of this, yeah, you can find it.
No, okay, nice. Uh, that's funny how you said like with TikTok and YouTube, like a lot of people. I, I I mean, some of these like TikTokers, all they do is lip lip sing a song, and they got like 10 million followers.
I'm a little bit sometimes, and some of that I can appreciate if you do it well enough, whatever. Um, and but there are, I don't want to get too far into this, but let's say like there's one genre of TikTok, which is basically uh, a, 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 a girl in as little clothes as possible, and she
Yeah,
kind of goes, hat, hat, hat,
yeah,
look me, hat, and and I enjoy that sort of thing as well as the next straight man or gay woman, I guess. I don't know. Uh, I'm very afraid these days of
I know.
saying,
And don't tell
you
me
know,
about it.
if
I
you,
know.
if you know what if you know what I'm saying.
I know.
Uh, but sometimes I want to, and I never do it because I don't, I'm trying hard not to be particularly critical old straight white guy on the internet. But every so often I kind of want to go to one of them and go, you do realize that there are really a lot of nice looking girls on TikTok, and maybe I don't know, perform or something? Can you juggle or do
Yeah,
something?
right.
Can
Yeah.
you do something to go along with it? Well, even, it's like, uh, people dance, that kind of thing. Even if I could do it, that's what I should say. It's like, even I dance on TikTok. So come on, it's just a little something. A little performance. That's all I
Right.
ask. That's a
Right.
little old fashioned.
Exactly.
I just ask for
Exactly.
a little performance quality. You know, just do just do something. The fact that like, would I get hits if all I did on TikTok? You're going through TikTok and here I am,
Yeah. Sure.
and then just went away or something. Maybe I should. I should see. I should see just how minimal,
You should see if that works.
how small you can get.
Yeah.
And still, I think people would follow initially because I have a following because of the shameless stuff.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
of course.
initially I was on TikTok and I didn't do anything about shameless or whatever, and nobody gave a shit, that kind of thing. And I did happen to mention toward the end of the show, I said, "Hey, I'm here, and it's the last week of the show, blah blah blah," and suddenly I had 10,000 followers, whatever. So I
Yep.
think if I did do that, I'd initially have people going like, "Hey, it's Kermit. Kermit, are you gonna do anything?" Okay, screw this guy. I think that would probably be the arc. But anyway, I'm trying to figure out what to do. Well, it's the difficult thing. It's because I'm a guy of a certain age. I
Hmm.
want to keep working. I want to be relevant and stay relevant. Whatever. I don't quite know how that happens. So it'll be kind of interesting. So I do want to figure out you know how to figure out something. Maybe I'll start doing what you're doing. I'll have
Yeah, exactly.
I'll, I'll have interesting people on and and have them embarrass themselves for my entertainment. You know, you know. How long have you been doing this? I'm curious.
This well, the video podcast, whatever you want to call this, this I've been doing for about like 5 or 6 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And but my horror site that I was telling you about, like I've been running a horror site with one of my friends for about 5 years. But like the actual interviews and videos I've been doing for about like 5 or 6 months, and that we did written ones on the site, like written interviews, because the pandemic didn't hit and no one wanted to do videos and Zoom and all that. So like pre-pandemic, like the 5 years I had the site, if I brought a guest on, like I would email them or their like booker the questions, and then they would send me back the answers, and I would post an article, and all the interviews would be written. Now I haven't done anything written since the pandemic started. So I was like, well, everyone's doing Zoom. Let me try doing like Zoom and Instagram Live, and it's been working.
Yeah, I did my first live couple of weeks ago just on a whim. It was late one night and I thought I saw a couple of people live and I thought, maybe give that a try. And it was fun. I don't know how long I was on, probably maybe an hour, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, and cycled through a lot of the, oh, is that real beer? And what did you guys do in the restroom? It's like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
what guys do in restrooms, you know, that kind of thing. Uh, but actually, it was nice. It was, there were a lot of people who were, who were very, happy I was on, whatever. I
Nice.
just don't think, I think though I don't think I could do it another time. I don't know. It'd be like, yeah, we saw you already, guy. I don't know what I'd have to say, But then that doesn't seem to bother some people. I feel like I've got to say or do something interesting, but half the time, if the person has enough of a fan base, people seem to
Yeah.
be sometimes be content just to watch them. Yeah, I'm just washing dishes right
Yeah,
now,
right,
and
exactly. I know.
what are you guys doing? Blah blah blah, that kind of thing. I guess I'll go have a bologna sandwich,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like if you do have like a following, you could do stuff like that, and people want to see that. They want to see how you're living life. Like they want to see you washing dishes or cooking. Like there was Justin Bieber just did like some kind of live where he was just like, I think he was cooking an omelet or something, and he had like 500,000 people watching him cooking an omelet.
God, now you got me thinking. I think that would be fun to do as just like a parody thing, like to pretend I'm such a big deal that's all I have to do on my things now. Yeah, I'm just here in the bathroom. I think I'm gonna probably take a poop in a second. You know, uh, and just act as if, yeah, I'm such a big deal that of course you just want to watch me live my life, as you said. But I don't know. I'll think it. I'll think of something. But
Yeah,
actually, I want to go what turns out to be, the lazy way. I just want another series, and then, and then I'll get my fan base from people who like that show. And I just want to move a little further up the call sheet.
definitely,
I'd like to
definitely.
get it. I'd like to get in the single digits on the call sheet. I don't want to be number one. That'd be ridiculous. Nobody's going to make me the star of a show at this point. But just get in the single digits. Every so often, have a plot be about my character. That would be cool. So I got some big dreams, my friend. Uh,
Nice, nice.
but so we'll see. One way or the other, something's going to happen.
Right,
Hope
exactly.
so.
Nice.
Well, then, hey, when you do your horror stuff, you said you well, you didn't. Did you ever have live? Did you have people come in ever or talk to, interview people?
Yeah, I mean, like, written and stuff. Like when I was doing like the written interviews, like I would interview like different actors that were in horror films, and one I actually had Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter, and I actually
Whoa.
got to interview him because he was pushing a horror film that he was in, and that was a horror site, and they were like, yeah, you can interview him, but no Harry Potter questions, just about the horror movie that he's in. And I was like, yeah, right.
We
And
did that. Ah. Um, God, what was the weird? Uh, not a horror movie, say, but the um, the Swiss Army Man. You ever heard of that?
I did hear that. I never seen it though.
Super super strange. Was he in the one? Again, I can't think of the name of the movie. Um, there was a movie I saw, and I can't think of the name of it, but the gist of it was there was a ghost, and the
Mhm.
ghost was literally a guy with a sheet
Oh, really?
with eyes, and it was super weird and super interesting. Unless it sounds like, when I first heard it, said, well, that sounds dumb as hell. Uh, but it was way more interesting than like one thing that I thought was interesting that you've seen more horror movies than me, so maybe you've seen this already. But one thing it kind of dealt with was being a ghost and haunting this particular house,
Hmm.
and just the passage of time. I mean, the passage of like dozens, hundreds of years, and you're still you're the ghost with the
Oh,
sheet
wow.
on
Okay.
as everything's going on and so forth. It wasn't like, it was really more kind of strange and surreal than it was scary, but it was very interesting.
Huh.
But I like well, I don't like see all his movies or anything, but I like Daniel Radcliffe for the choices he's made since Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He does seem like he seems like a guy who's more interested in doing interesting work.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that than in well, I'm a big star and I've got to keep being a big star. He doesn't seem like that's a big thing for him.
No,
I think I think
he was
oh, I'm
actually
sorry, go
pretty.
ahead.
Oh no, sorry. He was actually like. I don't know how he. I mean, I didn't see him in person, but the answers that he gave, he seemed like he was pretty like down to earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that sense.
Hmm. Yeah, like he actually liked a lot of like low budget independent horror films. Like he was talking about like when we were asking what horror films he likes, and he said I don't like mainstream horror as much, and I like all these independent films. I like the people like struggling to make a film, and the film comes out more real.
Yeah. Oh, I thought of a horror movie. Probably the most for me, probably the most disturbing horror movie. One of the most disturbing horror movies I've seen, just for the climax of it, is Audition.
Oh yeah, Asian horror, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's
Uh,
right.
oh man, it's like that's one of those. That's one of those that will still. I think because there are some scenarios, horror movie scenarios, where you're like, oh well, that's not terribly likely to happen to me, whatever. But could I get in a situation with some kind of fatal attraction kind of situation where you know where some psycho woman is like, okay, I got you now, and I'm going to make you pay for everything that men have done to me in my life, that kind of thing. That could maybe happen.
I mean, that could happen.
That's the horror. That's the horror. I think that's the horror. The kind of thing that appeals to me is where you watch and you go like, okay, that's scary, and it makes me a little nervous about
Yeah,
when the movie ends and I walk out and go like, well, that's probably not going to happen, but it could.
it could. Yeah.
That kind of thing. Well, I remember again. Oh no, I'll ask you as a horror guy, do you consider are serial killer movies horror movies or thriller movies?
That's a good question. I'll probably say thriller more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it depends. I mean, I guess if they're just serial killers and they don't have they're not unstoppable like Jason or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that because I remember probably something that affected me. I think the way like a really good horror movie would, um, and this was a zillion years ago. The movie was called Henry: Portrait of a Serial Killer,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
with Michael Rooker
Yeah.
from like Walking Dead and Guardians of the Galaxy, all that,
Mm-hmm.
and and just the way they portrayed him. And I hadn't seen a lot of movies of that ilk, at the time. Um, it almost felt like I mean, he was just a person, but
Yeah. Exactly.
it felt like this is just a bad thing that as a victim, this is just a bad thing that could happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the same as being like he's a natural disaster. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like this is the equivalent of, being in a house fire or an earthquake or something. Just you had the bad luck of crossing this guy's path, and he did this great job to me. I remember of seeming unlike like Hannibal Lecter or
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
like that who's like an evil genius or whatever. This guy just seems like blank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, he just kills you just because. And and I think because he wants to feel something,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but it doesn't really leave him feeling much of anything. And that idea too, that's an idea that's disturbing, that you'll be the victim of somebody like this, and it's nothing. It would be
Yeah,
nothing
right. Yeah,
to
it took
them.
hold, and you're part of that like blood and carnage that happened.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I think actually I think about this a fair amount of the time, about what maybe doesn't constitute a horror movie officially, but what kind of things do I genuinely find disturbing in
Mm-hmm.
films. And some things are just kind of obvious ones. It's like, what do they say um, when Tom Hanks did a movie called Turner and Hooch,
Oh yeah.
uh, and I remember him on a talk show, because the movie didn't do well in theaters,
Yeah, exactly.
and he was talking about it on a talk show, and he said, I learned a very important thing: don't kill the dog. you know, don't kill the dog. Oh my God.
Oh, man. Uh,
Anyway.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I know I already took up a lot of it.
Oh no, this was fun. It was fun. I hope you got some stuff you can use.
Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely.
But it was nice. Thanks for thinking of me. It was I enjoyed it. So what will let me know when this is a thing.
Definitely, yeah, because I posted onto the site, my YouTube and the IGTV, the Instagram.
Uh-huh.
So it's good. It would go up on like three different things.
Sounds good. Get
Yeah,
it get it out there. See if anybody cares. It's like, why is he talking to this guy? Shut up. That's Kermit. Kermit's cool. You idiot. Yeah.
right. Exactly.
I kind of thing.
All
Well, thank
right.
you. Well, thank you again. Thanks. This was fun. I hope you had a good time too.
Oh my God, yeah, it was so much fun. I loved it. Like you're really funny. When you watch the show Shameless, Kermit just is like sitting there and drinking, mingling, and but like the person behind Kermit is funny.
Well, that's one reason why sometimes people are, I was a little torn when people would say, hey, if they did a spin-off, you want to be a, and part of me, of course, the part of me that likes money, wants
Yeah,
to earn more money, would be like, yeah, I'll play Kermit another 10 years, whatever. But another part of me is like, yeah, I might like to do something that shows I could do something else.
yeah,
Yeah. Because I like Kermit. I like Kermit a great deal. There was a lot. I think it probably is clear to you that I had a good time,
oh, definitely, yeah.
on the show and everything. That doesn't mean I wouldn't like to do, a little more,
Hmm.
and have a bigger trailer, maybe some of that stuff.
Right,
I
right,
mean, I don't want to
exactly.
totally, I don't want to imply that it's all about the perks, but man, bring on the perks, baby. You know what I'm saying? You know? Uh, I ain't getting any younger, man. I need that sweet, sweet green.
Yes, exactly.
Well, on that note, I guess I will say so long. Thanks again. This was fun. I enjoyed it.
Definitely. Thank you for doing it. Thanks.
Sure thing. Take care.
All right, buddy. You too. Have a good one.
You too.